Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents Africa, The Definitive History of a Continent by DK, read by Itoya Osagiede. Foreword. Africa is the continent upon which humans first emerged, and therefore where the history of us all began. Yet Africa's astonishing past, even today, remains poorly understood. This book is a huge, sweeping introduction to the history of the African continent and its many diverse peoples. That diversity is astounding, greater in Africa than in any other continent. There are around 3,000 ethnic groups living on the continent today, who between them speak around 2,000 languages. Behind that incredible diversity lies a long history of movement, migration, and adaptation. A history within which numerous African states and empires have risen and fallen over the centuries. The scope of this book is thus inevitably vast. It begins in Africa's prehistory and introduces the reader to those very first humans who walked the immense spaces of Africa when it was the cradle of humankind. It goes on to show how those early African peoples became the creators of the world's very first civilizations and cultures. The book then explores the age of Africa's great empires before introducing the reader to colonial European empires in Africa and the independence struggles of the late 20th century that toppled them. Finally, it takes us to modern Africa, with its massive and youthful populations, vibrant music, cinema, and art, and its growing megacities like Lagos, the city of my birth. This book also confronts the most painful chapters in Africa's history. It explores how Africa became a source of enslaved people, first to the Arab world from the 7th century onwards. From the 16th century, Africa was ravaged by the Atlantic slave trade, which sparked wars and disastrously disrupted African societies, as at least 12 million Africans were trafficked to European colonies in the Americas. Later, this book examines how towards the end of the 19th century, almost the whole of the continent was colonized and exploited by European imperial powers, despite constant resistance from African peoples. Another theme addressed by this book is how Africa has been imagined and misrepresented by non-African peoples. In maps, through legends, and within the racial and cultural theories that were used to justify slavery and imperialism. The real Africa, which was concealed behind those myths, is a continent of cultural sophistication whose people have their own sense of history. It is also a continent whose landscapes are almost as diverse as its people. This book offers a glimpse of Africa's ancient deserts, sweeping grasslands, and verdant rainforests. The history of Africa has always mattered to me. My work as a historian has repeatedly led me back to African history, as I have sought to understand how Africans were seen by the outside world and how they interacted with the various peoples from different continents with whom they have had contact for centuries. For far too long, Africa's place in global history has been underappreciated. This book is an effort to bring the reader to the remarkable story of the continent upon which human history first began. David Olusoga, British-Nigerian historian and broadcaster. Introduction. Africa is a land of great diversity. Hot deserts sit along high mountain ranges formed over billions of years by immense geological forces.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?